and welcome back to Mother Tongue, your eyes, ears, and finger on the pulse for all parents around the world. Let's get going, shall we?
We are so incredibly excited to welcome Steph Elswood to Mother Tongue. Steph, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like I've survived 5 weeks of juggling parenting and work and everything else in the UK, so I feel like I deserve a medal or a large cookie or a large
Yeah.
glass of wine, one or the other, or maybe all three. But we're actually, I mean, the summer started in a total heat wave, which I feel like as a Brit, and I obviously I am British, but I haven't been in England for a long time. But you wait for a heat wave in England for such a long time, and then it comes, and you're like, absolutely not, go away, it's too hot, you can't sleep, and especially having a baby. I mean, I remember constantly being like, oh my God, are you sweating? Are you overheating? What should you be wearing? I mean, the navigation of newborn stage still blows my mind.
Honestly, I think when I was breastfeeding, she was drinking more sweat than breast milk. It was so hot.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was just horrendous. And obviously it's your first summer as a mum. So it's
Yeah.
probably been a bit of a like, woo, what is going on here? All the many things. And I will talk about your motherhood journey because I'm so intrigued to hear all about it. And I love how honest and open you've been about your motherhood experience so far. But I want to bring it back to the beginning because I don't know a great deal about you. I only started following you. You came up on my algorithm one day, and I think it was one of you dancing for your daughter, and I thought,
Oh
wow, she's
God.
a bit of me. Love this, love this. But taking it back to the beginning, is parenthood something that's always been on your cards? Did you think, were you trying to get pregnant, or did you just fall pregnant? Like, how was this whole experience? And then finding out where you're like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this, or where you're like, yes, so excited.
Do you know what? This is my favourite question to answer because at the age of 17, I was told that I couldn't get pregnant. So my background is actually in performing. I had an eating disorder for many, many years, and that's what led me to starting my Instagram page about 10 years ago. And due to being so low weight and so malnourished, my menstrual cycle actually stopped and was just so turbulent that I was told the chances of me falling pregnant naturally are very, very slim. To be told that as a 17-year-old, I didn't have the emotional intelligence, one, to question that or to see how I could change that. I just took it as an absolute fact, and that was my story moving forward. So my partner and I had actually had many conversations about the fact that children might not be in our future. And
Oh.
I think I'd never allowed myself to dream of being a mother because of the fact that I was told I couldn't fall pregnant. So I had always wanted to be a mum growing up, and then when I found out this news, just never let myself dream about it. And then I think I've always had this like buzzing anxiety in the back of my mind of like this timeline of where I need to be and everything like that. So the night that we found out that we were pregnant is the first time in my life that I've heard silence. I have never felt so calm and so aligned, and like the timing was perfect. I mean, my partner was the complete opposite and was suddenly like, sorry, what? But I have never felt so calm and at peace and so on the right path. And that was consistent throughout my pregnancy journey. Like, my pregnancy was quite turbulent, but that kind of anchoring of this is what I was destined to do and destined to be. I'm just the biggest believer of divine timing. And although I hate saying like, was it planned? Like, it was always a goal. It just kind of maybe came maybe 3 or 5 years earlier than expected. But I think I'm just so grateful for that moment. The moment we found out, I was suddenly like, okay, one, I didn't destroy my body when I didn't have the knowledge I have now. And two, I get to hopefully pass down positive messages to this future child. And I cannot wait to love and nurture it in a way that I never knew how to do myself.
Oh, that is so wonderful. That is so wonderful. Oh my God, that's such a lovely story. But also, so obviously knowing what you know now, and you've obviously been on this massive journey, when that person told you you might not be able to have children, what was that based on? Was that based on hard evidence? Because obviously you've produced a sprog quite easily.
It was down to the fact that I'd not had menstrual cycles for a substantial amount of time. I was severely underweight, and this was when I was still going through my treatment. So it's hard because obviously every time you remember something, you remember the memory, right? So I never had a letter coming through like, you are infertile. it was kind of
Yeah.
a passing comment, and I can't remember if it was like, if you carry on this route you won't be able to have children, but however I heard it at the time was,
Yeah.
you are not able to have children because you don't have a menstrual
Terrifying.
cycle. Terrifying. But also, I've done so much in my recovery journey to get, I think when we fell pregnant, I was the healthiest I had ever been. So I think it
Yeah.
just instilled confidence in me that actually what I was told when I was basically a child wasn't true, and I didn't ruin my entire body, and I've actually managed to get back to a place where I gained the weight back, and I managed to get regular periods. And I know that's not
Wow.
everyone's kind of fertility story, but I'm just really, really, really grateful that it was mine.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And I mean, you mentioned there that pregnancy wasn't straightforward, and honestly, hats off to that because pregnancy is awful. Honestly, I've
Why does
not
no one
had
tell
as
us?
no, just
No.
but I genuinely do think some people have a good ride. Some
Yeah.
people are lucky and they find it easy and manageable and they're glowing and they're not enormous and they don't swell and they're not sick. You know, there are these lucky women. I'm sadly not one of them. And as my pregnancies have progressed, they've got worse and worse and worse.
Don't tell me
And
that.
but I think again, I'm an anomaly. Lots of people are either worse with girls or worse with boys, but mine was just worse with time, just every single time. And the weight gain, God, I mean, I think the middle child was the one with the least weight gain, but because I never really lost it after the first. But I mean, this time around, it was a 30 kilo weight gain. And I was like, what is going on here? I mean, I know I'm eating a lot of cheese, but I mean, I'm not eating that much cheese. But talk us through your pregnancy experience. Name a few highs, name a few lows, and what was the hardest bit for you?
Gosh, I mean, I fell sick very, very early, and it wasn't just a kind of like morning sickness that they show in the movies where you just
Mm.
vomit once in the morning and then suddenly you're fine. It was all day, every day. I think my record was 18 times in one day. It was
Oh,
awful. And I think I was so depleted of energy. I've always been someone that's just busy, right? Like I'm up, I'm out, I'm getting stuff done. And I could not do anything. I was so debilitated by this sickness that my energy levels were depleted. Was asleep all the time. Then I got low iron. It got to about 8 months in, and I was like, when do I get this glow? Like, everyone
yeah.
talks about this,
When's the
so when's
glow gonna
mine?
come?
Yeah. And it was just, I really struggled. And I think because my eating disorder also had, part of my eating disorder was bulimia, I found it really triggering because I was losing weight when I was supposed to be obviously getting bigger with a baby. I wasn't able to eat. I think I lived off of plain pasta and ketchup and a single digestive biscuit most days. I was so excited to get this appetite and these cravings that everyone spoke about, but all I got was like sickness and food aversions. And I really struggled. So in terms of highs, I think obviously baby scans are highs, and finding out that we were having a little girl made me so excited. I know you shouldn't have a gender preference and people will think that I'm so selfish for having one, but I was just so excited at
Absolutely
the
not.
potential of having a little girl.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I
Yeah,
think everyone is the same with it's when you if you are a girl, if you are a boy, I think you always want what you are. I think that's very normal. I don't
yeah.
think anyone can judge about that, and if they do, they need to pipe down because we're not having any of that today. No thanks.
But yeah, so it was really tough. And I think when you're so undernourished, your ability to process information and just deal with this massive whopping life change. Like I think I was in denial until I was about 9 months pregnant, and then I started to enjoy it, and I was like, oh, I could do a couple more months of this, and my mum was like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, yeah, keep going. Whereas most women are literally like, get them out now. I mean, I
Yeah,
remember we got to the end and I was like, why isn't he here? Why has he not arrived? And then in terms of like other pregnancy symptoms, did you get anything weird and wonderful? I mean, I through all mine, I remember bleeding gums was really bad in my first pregnancy, which was so random. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? I had all sorts of weird symptoms, bad backs, the swelling, especially with the boys. Oh my God, the swelling was so wild. You couldn't see my ankles at one point.
I think I was quite lucky in that sense. It was just the vomiting, just all day, every day.
Oh, that is just relentless. And I'm guessing someone who is very in tune with their body and in the wellness industry, that must have been really hard in terms of like knowing what you were putting in your body and that kind of conflicting, I need to eat, full stop, but
Yeah.
also I need to be putting goodness in. But I cannot hack that right now. How did you deal with that?
I really struggled, I think, because everything I was eating was beige or ketchup. There was like nothing in between. It was like any kind of potato was in my mouth. Like it was a crisp, a jacket potato, a chip drowned in
Love a
vinegar
jacket.
and ketchup. Oh, I love a jacket potato.
Oh,
So
yum.
underrated.
I know, the
Um,
best.
and I think I struggled because I wasn't able to move my body either. Like I'm someone that is quite active. I enjoy movement. And I just felt like, do you know what it was? My sense of control was taken away. And I don't think I realised how much that would impact me mentally. But I was really fortunate to, in one of my quite early midwife appointments, my partner pulled up that I was kind of struggling mentally. And the perinatal team, the mental health team at the NHS, picked up on something and have been phenomenal throughout my
Okay,
pregnancy and then the aftercare as well. Because I don't
great.
think I realised how low I'd actually got mentally until my partner flagged it. And then obviously during therapy, I'm someone that would like crack a joke. And then when the therapist started writing things down rather than laughing, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I've said the wrong thing.
Maybe this is not why we're here. Oh God, brilliant. To be honest, I feel you because I am the same. I like to keep busy. I like to feel active. And my sickness this time around only lasted till about 17, 18 weeks. But I honestly, I did feel quite depressed because when you're living the life that is so polar opposite to what you're used to, it's just awful. And then, I mean, I don't know about you, but I get terribly anxious during pregnancy, like constantly worried that something is wrong with the baby. So you add that in, and then also the lack of movement in general and what that just does to your mental health, because movement is my therapy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really fun, isn't it? I always think us as women, we really get it all, don't we? The periods, the menopause, the pregnancies, postpartum. It's great. Men
I
just
know.
have one deed and then they're done.
The amount
Literally.
of times I turned to my partner and I was like, you did this to me. And he was like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm gonna hide now. And then what about the birth? How was that? Had you kind of pre-envisaged what you would like the birth to be like? Were you a bit like, I'm gonna go with the flow and see how this goes? Like, what was the vision and what was the reality?
So my vision was, I was really excited about birth. I know a lot of women fear it or have anxieties around it, but I was so excited because I'd heard so many stories of women sharing their empowered journeys of, oh, this is what my body was made to do, and I was mooing throughout pregnancy on all fours, and I didn't need any intervention and all of this kind of stuff. So I'll be honest, that was my preference, and I kind of felt that like, not that I've done many running races, but that start of a race when you're stood there and you're like ready to go. And that was the polar opposite of how my birth went. So I laboured at home for about 24 hours when the contractions weren't too intense, and I was on all fours, I was mooing. I'd be talking like this and I'd be like, oh, 1 second. And then I'd go on all fours, I'd moo. And I was like, yeah, I feel so empowered by this. Like, yes, it's painful, but oh, look what my body can do.
Yeah.
Then I started being sick again, and I was like, really good. All the nourishment that I'd fueled my body with up until this point, because I was eating as if I was about to do a marathon, like I was fueling my body for this
I love this.
intense exertion, and then just vomited it all up. So I was like, okay,
Oh
this
my
isn't
God.
good. And then it basically all went tits up from there, to be honest. And I think, I can't remember how long my labour was. It was about 3 days. I had an epidural that I didn't want, which, by the way, was fantastic. That cut out for 2 hours. So I went from feeling nothing to feeling everything for 2 hours. And
Oh my
then
God.
ended up having a relatively traumatic delivery that I probably won't go into too much detail, but it just was so not the birth I wanted. And I
Yeah.
was very traumatized for about 8 weeks. And then I think oxytocin must just be pumping around my body, because now I was really like, I'm one and done. I never want to do that again. And now I'm like, if we had another girl, what would we call it?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I think it's actually quite terrifying how the body and the brain makes you forget.
Yeah.
Because I was the same. I had a quite horrendous first birth, and I think this whole you know, I do think there are some lucky women out there who do have a great first birth. I do think there is a small percentage, but I do think the reality is birth, when you're doing it for the first time, is not straightforward. It very, very rarely goes the way it wanted to, because obviously the reality is your body's never done this before. It doesn't really know what it's doing. Yes, it is made to produce babies, but it's all the first time. And I think to set that kind of expectation that it's going to be this magical, wonderful experience is probably not the norm.
No.
And so many women who I speak to come out the other side and they're so deflated and disappointed that they didn't get this beautiful birth. What I will say, again, this is obviously not the norm for absolutely everybody, but the percentages of having a nicer second birth are much higher.
Yeah, I've
So
heard this.
aim big for that second baby. Because I actually ended up having an emergency C-section with my first. And it was horrendous. The whole thing was horrendous, like all of it. I was just not on board. And second time around, I had a VBAC and it was great. I mean, it was quite intense, but it was great.
Yeah.
And I was always two and done, and that definitely made me think, oh, maybe I'll have a third, which I then did. So,
Yeah. It is
there
crazy
is
though, isn't it?
time.
How your body just detaches, and yeah, it was just, I don't know. I feel maybe going in naively was a good thing as well. Like, I'm really
Yeah.
glad. I was very like in my bubble when I was pregnant, and anytime someone remotely started to share a negative birth story, I just went, oh no, I'm not hearing that right now. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Bye bye.
Yeah, like I think I would want to do the same if we were fortunate enough to have a second child. Obviously, not thinking about that anytime soon, but I would be the same. I'd want to be in my bubble, not absorb any more negative stories, and go in naive again, and just be like, okay, let's see where this birth takes us. And
Mm.
yeah, I think I've managed to speak through things enough to feel empowered by my birth, even though I'm grieving my idea of what I thought the birth would be.
And there's always another chance, and there will be another chance for you, I have no doubt. And I think once your body's done something once, you'll be surprised how how quickly it knows what's happening and
Yeah,
just gets into action. But again, this is, I think, again, when you're a first time mum and you go into a situation where you're in a lot of pain, you can't make a clear decision, there's no one really kind of standing up for you, and they're like, have an epidural or go on. I had to go on the oxytocin drip and I was like, I don't really want to. And I mean, it was just awful. I was told your baby's too big, you're not going to be able to birth it, which is bullshit. I'm gonna
yeah.
just call that now. But it's amazing what happens when you go into a hospital and you're panicked, especially when you're a first time mum. But I think you're going to get there. Second time round, I know it. And
Thank
tell me,
you.
how was it post birth? Those first kind of few hours, days, weeks, how did you find that?
Um, Post birth was a struggle. So we stayed in hospital for a few days after the birth, and then we were discharged, and then I was admitted back into the hospital with an infection, and baby girl got an infection as well. So we kind of had that sense of home routine for I think about a day and a half, and like the home
Oh,
comforts,
God.
and then we had to go back in, which was a struggle. But I went back in with French plaits, no makeup, and I think I looked about 12, and my partner had not slept, had a beard growing, and looked about 55. So the midwives kept asking if I was okay, because I think they thought I was with this like really old man, and they ended up putting us in this private room because I genuinely think they thought I was a teenager, which is fine, but it was a much better experience. I felt very looked after, and the quality of care was amazing when we went in the second time around. But then I thought I was going to be someone that didn't want to see anyone for the first few weeks. I'd actually warned people that actually I just wanted it to be me, my partner, and the baby, and potentially my mum was maybe the only person I'd want to see. But then having that kind of stripped and being in such a busy environment for, I think it was all in all about 10 days we were in the
Oh my
hospital.
gosh.
Yeah, I was so desperate to see my friends and family. And so for those first 2 weeks postpartum, I think I was running on adrenaline and just wanted some kind of normality. So we had this conveyor belt of friends and family in this like village. It was amazing, but then it got to a point where I crashed, and I was like, one, we're running Costa. We are making so many teas and coffees for everyone that comes in. And also, as much as it's amazing that everyone wants to hold the baby, I can't remember the last time I held the baby. So
Yeah.
then we put like a hard stop, and I was like, Lewis, we just need a week or two, just the three of us, because I want to spend time with her. And in that third week, I felt like I'd bonded with her more than I had done in the 3 weeks prior, because I was finally just spending that one-on-one time with her.
Mm.
So it was amazing that we had so much support and this like rush of village mentality, and we had people come over and they cleaned our house or they cooked for us and they bought
Oh.
meals, and one of my childhood best friends cooked us freezer meals enough for about 12 days. It was amazing.
Oh.
And we felt so loved in that time. But I think I also needed to kind of prioritise our own boundaries and just be like, we want time with our baby girl too.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I mean, again, I don't know if you were the same, but considering you spent the first 10, 10 days in hospital pretty much, there must have been some level of anxiety around people touching the baby as well. I mean, I know
Yeah.
I was like, if you even dared sneeze, I was like, get off the baby right now. Um, and I mean, we didn't quite have day two, but we were in hospital with this little one at 2 weeks, and my daughter was in at 5 weeks with RSV. And I just think when they're so new, they're like the health anxiety is so real.
Yeah.
They pick up everything, and there's just no real way of protecting them, and they've got no immune system. Is she
Yeah.
okay now? Has she been okay since then?
We were in hospital again about 3 weeks ago because she'd
Oh
managed to
my
pick up a
gosh.
virus. It's been a lot, but when it came to like jabs and stuff, she'd been so poked with needles up until this point. Like we'd seen her with cannulas maybe three
Oh my
times.
God. Oh my
So
God.
I feel like a little bit desensitized. And if anything, because
Yeah.
I had health anxiety before, the only positive that's come out is when she has gone through these patches of being poorly, there's always been a solution and she's come out. And
Yeah.
although we've had these complications, I do still think we've got easy baby privilege. Like she only tells us when there's something wrong. So she will only cry when she's hungry, tired, feeling poorly, needs a change. So as much as it's been
Mm.
challenging and hard to navigate, we're also so grateful that she's just an easy, happy baby.
Oh my God. She sounds the dream. Does she sleep? Are you getting much rest now?
Yeah, I can't lie. So like when I'm speaking about this
Love
positive
this.
experience, I'm also like, oh, she obviously went through like a 4 month sleep regression, which came around the same time that she was in hospital. So it was challenging
Oh,
to know whether she wasn't sleeping because she was unwell or if it was just this standard sleep regression. But now she's kind of back, and I think we've consistently, obviously it's broken sleep, but we've consistently got sleep. So I feel like I can function a little bit more as a human.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest, sleep is the biggest form of torture. If we're not sleeping,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing anything if I'm not sleeping.
No.
I like can't. It's like full stop. No, 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 no. And obviously, as you mentioned earlier on, wellness is a very big part of your life. Um, has your perspective on health and wellness and self-care and everything like that changed since becoming a mum? Do you still find time to prioritize yourself, do things that you love? I mean, I know you've opened a Pilates studio as well, which I'm actually like, wow, mind blowing, super mum.
Yeah, we signed the lease on that when I think she was about 3 weeks old, and it was
Oh
kind of
my
like,
God, you're great.
is this the right time? But if not now, when? And to be honest, in those early weeks, like you just put her down and she was sleeping so much anyway. Wasn't sleeping at night at this point, but during the day I could get stuff done. But I think, if anything, my sense of health and wellness has increased because I'm breastfeeding as well, and anything that I'm just so certain anything that I'm eating is going into her, right? Like when I was on antibiotics, they were like, oh, it might affect her gut, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you're not supposed to drink alcohol, it could affect them. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, but does diet affect the breast milk? And they're like, oh, no, the breast milk will just take what it needs. And I'm like, but if alcohol can go through and
Yeah.
antibiotics can go through, surely the 18 donuts I'm eating a day will also go through, because that postpartum hunger is real. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen
Mm.
those, is it Ollenstein or Olenstein party pastries that are supposed to serve eight? Well, I think they've got their serving size wrong because it definitely serves one. And then I kind of had this realization maybe 6 weeks in that I should probably start eating better again, because anything I eat, she eats. And so I have had this more sense of like, now I think as well, because I found pregnancy so rough, postpartum has actually been more of a breeze because I don't have low iron anymore. I can actually function as a human. I can actually eat food that fuels my body rather than living off of crackers. So I do feel a little bit more human and able to eat the foods that I want to. So I've been very conscious about that, and my partner's very health conscious as well. So we have eaten really well, and I think that just helps everything. Like, and also we
Yeah.
gave birth in March, so it was just as that little heat wave was starting, and we were able to
Mm.
get outside in the sunshine and get daylight and all of these things that make you
Yeah.
feel better as a person anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, have you started doing any form of like exercise or pelvic floor rehabilitation? My God, I can't say that word. Whoa. Um, that kind of stuff that really makes you feel like you again.
Yeah, so I was told I could exercise from 6 weeks, but I didn't feel right in my body. Like I couldn't even sit down. I was so bruised and battered in
Oh
stitches,
my God,
and
bless you.
I was just like, I'm gonna ease off a little bit. And then it got to about 10 weeks, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait a bit longer. And then it got to 12 weeks, and suddenly I was told I was able to run again, and I was like, don't see that happening.
No. I mean,
No
who
way.
told you that? Who told you that? Oh my God, no.
So then I started doing like at home Pilates, and I found someone amazing on YouTube that specialised in like pre and postnatal and had really bad diastasis recti themselves, so had an awareness of all of these things. So I started doing maybe one or two a week, and these were like 15-20 minute sessions. And then I actually booked in for a mummy MOT, which I truly believe should be available to all women.
Agreed.
It was invasive as hell, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was not comfortable. And they're trying to make light conversation, and I'm like, you're in
Can we
places
not
that
talk?
no, can we
Yeah.
just no
Let's
eye contact,
let's
no
just
conversation.
no. Let's just sit in silence.
And I was adamant that I was going to start running again or start couch to 5K. And she said, look, I know you're told from 12 weeks you can do anything you were doing pre-pregnancy, but actually I'd advise waiting potentially 4 or 5 more weeks. And she checked all of my pelvic floor, and she said, actually, the best thing you can be doing postpartum is reformer Pilates, and all of that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, how convenient! I've just opened a studio, so I
Yeah.
have,
Great. Love that.
so I have eased my way back in. But I think because I had an awareness of my body pre-pregnancy, I've known when to kind of challenge myself and when to really pull back. So I've eased myself back in, and mentally, even a 15-minute session, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better because I didn't work out for pretty much the whole pregnancy. Even those small little sessions are making me feel good.
That's good. That's amazing. And are you a runner? Do you like running?
I've spoken a lot about running, considering like, no, I'm not. Like I used to run like once a week pre-pregnancy. I think I've done a marathon before, but I say it was the worst day of my life. But it's a form of exercise that I know is good for me because I get outside, I get daylight. I don't necessarily always enjoy it in the moment, but afterwards I do.
Yeah.
So I was a kind of 1 or 2 times a week runner.
Yeah, and it's convenient, isn't it? You can go anytime. You can go from your front door. You don't need to schedule a gym class or anything else.
Yeah,
I'm the same as you. I don't like running, but I do it because I can just get it done. I can get out and get
yes,
it done.
yes.
Obviously, you've got a big presence on social media, and this is obviously how I know about you. Do you feel like your perception of social media has changed since becoming a mum? Do you feel like you're sharing more or sharing less? Like, what are your thoughts around kind of your social presence now you're a mum?
I feel like I'm very protective over Elsie. I've never shared her full name, her date of birth, her face, nothing like that. I just feel like I started social media when I was 19, and even though I was classed as an adult, I think I still shared things that maybe I wouldn't do now. Like, I just don't think the world needs that level of exposure into your life, and I think I want her to be
Mm,
able to have that choice. So I'm very
yeah,
conscious of when I'm sharing things. I feel so fiercely protective over her, and everyone says that like mother lioness instinct. And I
mm,
think I share things like my breastfeeding thoughts, and like when I'm up at 4 a.m. and it feels like the world's asleep, I just tap into my phone how I'm feeling. But I'm conscious of sharing it from my perspective and not oversharing her life. I think
yeah,
it's so hypocritical because some of my favourite pages to follow are family accounts. And I
mm,
love following mums and like families and watching their lives. But I don't know, I think because lockdown showed a different kind of follower to me and people that were far more negative, aggressive, offering feedback that was not feedback, it was just quite nasty comments. I think I just would never want to expose my daughter to that. And I think I've got a thicker skin since giving birth. Like when people said things to me before, I'd be very people pleaser, apologetic, blah, 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 blah. Whereas now I'm of the mindset that actually not everything on social media is for everyone. So maybe this post that has received 10 positive comments, this your negative perception of it, like it's helped 10 people, maybe this piece
mm,
of content just wasn't for you, and that's actually not my responsibility. Like I'm so
mm,
careful about what I say, and I do
mm.
understand, like I said, I do understand I've got easy baby privilege, I've got a lot of support, I had like an infrastructure in place before giving birth, all of these things, but also it's not my responsibility to make sure that my content is well received by you all the time. So I think I just
No.
yeah.
It's also it's not easy baby privilege. Like you probably look, I think some of it is down to nature, but other is down to nurture. You probably have an easy baby because you have been the product of that. You've been a great mum. And I'm not saying people are terrible mums, but some like, lots of people can do things that are in their control to make their baby slightly easier, and other mums don't want to, or other parents don't want to, and that's totally fine. But I just don't think you can go around pointing fingers and saying different things to different
Mm.
people. You just, also, I think social media only portrays such a small slice of people's lives. You actually 90% of the time don't know what's going on behind the screen. And that's what I really hate about social media. There's so much hate. There's
Yeah.
so much just anger. And I'm like, why? Why do we think this is necessary? How do you think leaving a horrible comment on someone's page is going to help you or
Mm.
anybody else? Like, why?
And do you know
It's
what?
not
Like,
for that.
after giving birth and after pregnancy, I saw, so there was a few women that I followed, and we were on very similar journeys in our pregnancy, very similar time frames, very similar due dates. And I was following them along, and like some of them were exercising during pregnancy, and I was feeling a sense of resentment. Did I message them? Absolutely would never dream of it. And then a few of these women had these unbelievable home births where they just sniffed sage and coughed and the baby came out. And obviously, I was going through this process of grief, of grieving the birth that I wanted. And that was the exact birth that I did want and absolutely didn't have it. And so I did feel negative emotions, but I just would never dream of sending them a message. So sometimes now when I receive these messages, I'm like, well, I know I would never say this to a new mum. I'd never say this to anyone. So actually, this says a lot more about you than me. Like, yes,
Oh,
hurt
massively.
people, but it's not my responsibility,
No.
because I just would never dream of doing the same.
No, and as you rightly said, so many of these hate comments come from a place of essentially jealousy. It is in essence a sense of jealousy, and saying it is not going to make the jealousy go away. It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to make the other person feel better. So really, what's the point? I think women tearing down women and mums tearing down mums just really needs to stop. it's
Yeah,
it's okay to feel the way you feel. That is totally normal, and we don't all feel happy rosy thoughts all the time. But
yeah.
you don't need to voice it. I just think it's mean, especially to a first time mum. I mean, you sound like you're doing so well, which is
Thank
amazing.
you.
But I was not feeling that confident as a first time mum. And I mean, it would have just torn me down. I just don't think you need to be mean to first time parents or parents in
No.
general. I think the amount of hormones that are circling around our bodies just don't need this kind
Yeah.
of
And also,
chat.
like, we're all human, right? Like, we make mistakes, and
Yeah,
obviously, a lot of the
sure.
mistakes I make will have to be public. But my intentions are never negative, and so
Yeah,
like, I've just said to a few people, like, I'm really sorry if this did trigger you, but I'm just trying my best. Like,
yeah,
showing up as a mum online, showing up as a mum in real life, like, all I'm doing is trying my best. So I'm really sorry if this
yeah,
hurt you, but it's not my
yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, and also I didn't do it just to, trigger you. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking
Yeah.
I'm going to go after you specifically, even though I don't know you at this point when I'm doing this piece of content. But thanks.
Yeah.
It is wild. Anyway, what are you most looking forward to? Obviously, you're 4 months in now. You've got so much to look forward to, like a year of first. I do think the first year is such a mix of high and low moments. What have you got coming up that you're really looking forward to?
We're going away for a few weddings over the summer, which Elsie is coming with us on.
Exciting.
And I
Oh.
think just little things like seeing her, like we've just started swimming lessons in the UK, but like being outside in a swimming pool, or like just
Oh.
like you said, it's the year of firsts, right? And she's now at that
Mm.
age where the smiles are more intentional, and the unconditional love is far more apparent. Like, you smile at her and she smiles in response, and she's in that like scritchy scratch grabby phase, and just all of these things that I'm just loving, and seeing the world through her eyes when we go on walks and she's like taking in the world and she's starting to giggle, and all of those things. Every stage I'm like, I want to pickle you as you are, and I'm just realizing that not everything is constant, which is a good and a bad thing. So just kind of, I just want to try and enjoy it all as much as I can.
I think that's the biggest blessing and curse of parenthood is every stage is a phase and it all
Yeah,
ends. So if you're in those sleepless nights, there is light at the end of the tunnel because this does not last forever. Everything
yeah,
comes to an end, but that is also sad in some ways because they grow so quickly. And yeah, we've just had our first tooth, and I'm just like, my gosh, how are we here? How are we
yeah.
here? It's just wild. It's just absolutely wild. I had so many questions for you on your sober journey and your plant-based living, which I'm not even sure we're going to get round to today. So maybe we'll have to do a part two at some point. I just wanted to round up with a couple of reflection questions.
Hmm.
Um, To any expecting mums who are feeling overwhelmed and anxious about what lies ahead, what would be your biggest piece of advice to them?
Oh, this is a good question. Um, I think my main piece of advice would be that a bond with your baby is maybe not always instant. I think for me, I was so terrified about not bonding with the baby because I didn't during pregnancy. And then, yes, when she was born, I was like, oh my God, this is my child and I adore you. But it's something that's like a slow burn, and it's a relationship like anything, where for those first 6 weeks you are keeping a child alive and they give you nothing in return because they can't function in that way. So you are emptying yourself and depleting yourself of everything, whether it's energy, time, breast milk. You are being drained of everything to keep them alive. And then you get these glimmers of gummy smiles and eye contact and hands on your chest and cuddles in return. And then it's just like they start to give you something back, and that relationship grows. And I think there's a pressure that the moment a baby is born, you will have this maternal instinct, which does kick in. Like, I'm shocked at how much has kicked in that I didn't even know, but I'm just like, oh, I recognise that cry. And I'm like, how do I recognise that? But that relationship has developed over time, and I'm grateful for that slow burn, because every day I'm like, I didn't think I could love you more, but I love you more than I did yesterday.
Yeah, that is a beauty of parenthood. And I think no one talks about that enough, that kind of instant bond. And I think if especially if you've had a tricky birth and it's been quite traumatic, I definitely think that kind of initial bond, it doesn't happen. It's definitely delayed. Um, which, God, it is hard, motherhood.
Yeah.
It just really is.
And it's like one thing after another.
I
Like,
know, I
even
know.
even postpartum, like, probably oversharing, but I've never smelt so bad in my life.
Oh, I know the onions. The onions. It's constant.
But no one
It's
warned
a
me of
thing.
that. I was
Yeah, I
showering
know.
like twice a day, and then I was like, why is this smell not going anywhere?
Yeah, yeah. The onion sweat, it comes. It's something to do with the breastfeeding. And I mean, I
Yeah.
stank so I like onions, but I did not like the smell of me. It was constant. It just
Yeah.
was just coming out of my pores. Oh, yeah. I mean, postpartum is joyous in every way, shape, or form. What is next for you professionally? So obviously we've got the Pilates studio that is just opened, right?
Yes, we opened a month ago.
Wow. And then what's next? Any more Pilates studios? Anything else
Well,
we need to know about?
this is the goal, that it is going to be the first of many. We are hoping to
Amazing.
have a few more next year. But just going along with that, I also have a non-alcoholic spirit brand, and we're about to do some very exciting things with that coming from September. And I think just enjoying the juggle of it all. And I know some people who are on maternity leave obviously completely pause from work, and that is probably what they need if they've had a strenuous job. But working for myself, I didn't really have a choice. I think went back to work at about 6 weeks. And I do think, I know this isn't for everyone, so I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but I do think that going back that early gave me a little bit of sense of identity. And as I was going through this huge identity shift, it was a little bit of an anchor of like, oh, okay, some of the old you is still there, but it's adapting into this new version, and how can we balance this out? And I actually really enjoyed that juggle. So I think next is just finding that balance of wherever my feet are, that's where I am. Whether it's in a work environment, I'm there, or whether I'm with Elsie, I'm 100% giving her my attention.
Yeah. And I think that's always been my biggest thing. Like I've always struggled to do the juggle because I've always tried to do both at the same time, and it's
Yeah.
not a thing. It's just, and I mean, you are smart for figuring that out. It took me to baby number three to figure that out. But I also think as someone who's started business and is running businesses, I like work. I like that it takes me away from parenting. I don't want to be a full-time parent, and I feel like third time round I'm quite confident in saying that. I think I would be a terrible, terrible full-time mum. I have a level where I kind of reach breaking point, and then I just need silence and my laptop and to think creatively about something totally different to clearing up sick and dealing with screaming children and everything else. I quite like the escape that work sometimes brings me. I mean, today I said to my husband, I was like, I'm really sorry I've got a podcast recording for 2 hours, so I'll see you later.
Yeah,
Have fun with the three children. And it's actually like quite a nice relief in a way. And I think
yeah.
that's also okay. You're allowed to enjoy work and you're allowed to want to build something that means something, but also want to have children and be a great mum and love your children, more than anything in the world. I don't think you ever have to pick one. The fact that you figured that out already, well done.
Thank you.
Products. Talk to me. Favorite products. What products have you loved as a mum?
Oh, there's a breast pump that I'm obsessed with by Medela, and it's like an in bra one. And basically,
Fab.
she never could latch to one of my breasts, and when I tried to get her to latch to that breast, I ended up getting mastitis. So now I always pump that side and feed from the other, which has been,
Amazing.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because I adore breastfeeding. It took a long time to get to that point. It was very painful, it was uncomfortable, but now we found our groove. But it's also been nice because we introduced a bottle so early that my partner can share that.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably why I found it easier to go back to work. But
Mm.
that pump has changed my life. Um, what else? Oh my God, there's these books that she is obsessed with. They're like the Jellycat crinkly
Oh,
books.
yes, 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 yes. They're fabulous.
She loves them. There's a bouncer that she loves that she sits in and will just like play with her little book and hold on to it. But I'm like, you stay there. I'm just gonna pee or do
Sweet.
something.
Sweet.
But I'm trying to think of what other products. Um, from a mum perspective, there is a little squatty potty that helped me in those early days. It's like a little step that you put around your toilet, and I don't know how I lived without one before. And I know that's probably oversharing, but it
No.
saved me so much, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, I might have to ask the link for that and I'll link it all in the show notes.
So good. It's so good.
Oh, I love this. And then to finish, if you were to sum up motherhood in one word, what would that word be and why?
The word would be purpose because I've never felt so much purpose in my whole life, whether that is in work or keeping this tiny human alive. And I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, wherever I am. And I've
I
never
love
felt that
that.
way before.
Oh, I love that. What a lovely note to end this on. And Steph, for anyone who wants to reach out, find you, ask any questions, where can they find you? By the way, people want all the love, not the hate.
Yes, please. On Instagram, it's Steph Elswood, and the same on TikTok and YouTube.
Well, Steph, you've been phenomenal. Thank you so much for being such a great guest on the podcast today and sharing your journey with us. We really appreciate it. I'll be linking everything in the show notes. And hopefully, we'll have to have you back on in our next season, which is actually all about the mum juggle to talk about your other businesses because I'm dying to hear more.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, stay there. 2 seconds. I need to